So today we are going to do a cityscape where it looks like you're lying on the ground in the middle of the street and looking up at the buildings. This is what my final piece looks like before I color it in. I did a time lapse of it, but I thought you might like to see some parts of this in real time. So the first step is to get your paper and a pencil nice and sharp. And you're gonna find what you think is the center point of your paper and put a dot there. This is going to be what's called your vanishing point. You are going to take your ruler and kind of cut that little dot in half. In order to make it straight up and down, I always line up these little marks here. I pick one of the inches and I line up that mark with the edge of my paper. Okay. And then very faintly, because you're going to erase most of your lines, very faintly draw a line. That's your vertical line. Now you're going to draw a horizontal line. And again, in order to keep it straight, you can see I'm lining up this tally mark where my number 6 used to be before it rubbed off. Is line that up with the line that you just drew and draw yourself a nice faint guideline. So I'm planning to turn this into a color wheel. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 even spaces. That means each of these 4 sections I have to divide into 3, and they don't have to be perfectly even. Try to eyeball it, and if it's way off, you're drawing lightly so you can erase and try again. So another guideline, and then the area that's left, I am going to cut in half. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing in these 2 quadrants. You have to hold your ruler down very firmly so that it doesn't slip while you're drawing your line. I like to hold it firmly towards the center, because if you just hold it on one end, as you're drawing, the whole thing could pivot. All right, so how do you get a circle without using something to trace around or using a compass? Well, we have our ruler. So we are going to take it and put the 0, that line right where the 0 is, right on your central point, your vanishing point, and measure out. See how much space you have to the edge of your paper. So we've got 4 and a little over 4.5 inches. So I'm gonna call it 4 inches, and I'm gonna make a little tally mark. I'm gonna go through on every single one of these lines. I'm gonna line up the 0 mark at my vanishing point, and then make a little hash, a little line at 4 inches out from that dot. I'm gonna do that on every single one. So now that I have all of those guiding marks, I can take my pencil, hold it very loosely at the back, and then I'm able to make this nice curving motion without putting a lot of stress and strain on my hand. If I choke up on my pencil like this, then when I draw, I can't see where my pencil lead is. When I hold it back here, I can see everything. All right, so I'm gonna take it and make a sketchy line that goes right through those hash marks, and I'm just gonna keep turning my paper so that the natural curve of my hand helps me make that circle. All right, so we are then going to erase all of these marks around the outside. I'm going to go through and I'm going to draw lines at different heights for my different buildings. I want all different heights, and I've even got one tiny little building over here that has some open air. So as you turn your page so that that pie wedge is facing you, it will be a straight line. But as I turn it, it doesn't look straight anymore. That doesn't matter. I ignore that and I make another straight line in this pie wedge for my next building. And I keep going around my circle. Different heights of roofs. This one I'm going to make a more narrow building. Now when you draw the side of your building, if you draw a narrower building, use your ruler. Stick it back, going across this center point, your vanishing point, and then use it to draw your line. Because you can see the closer you are to the vanishing point, the smaller your line is. The further out you are, the bigger that space becomes. And then go back in and make the sides of your buildings a little darker. And go ahead and keep that vanishing point there because you may need it when it comes time to draw things like windows. So for example, if I wanted this to be a classic kind of skyscraper where the windows are just like a grid that goes across the building, I would take this, my ruler, put it across that vanishing point, and I would draw some lines. Coming out from it. So all of the lines that come out from it, they're like rays on a sun. They start smaller and get bigger the farther they go out from the circle. And then, as you draw the horizontal lines for your window shapes, it's not just wider as you come farther down. There also needs to be more space. So as the buildings get higher in the sky, they get farther away, and those windows are going to be smaller. So as I come down, each row is going to be a little bit bigger. And that tricks my brain into seeing distance. So go through and use as much or as little detail as you want, but make each of your buildings unique. I have one here that I didn't add any detail to the surface of because when I color it, I may add some detail in there. I've got another one here that's a little bit basic, but I did something fun on top of it. When you're finished with your pencil work, outline everything with a marker, erase your pencil lines, and then you can start thinking about color. I'm going to do a color wheel, so 12 different colors. Primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors.